friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we have an update on the Mica Miller investigation. So behind the scenes, I have been keeping up with this investigation, and Robbie Harvey has been doing YouTube lives very frequently, keeping up with the case, and he has kept saying, hey, I'm dropping a video that's gonna have a lot more information in it regarding the case. So at the very beginning of this case, he said, like, yeah, it was a self-induced. However, now the question is, who pushed her to do that? But this whole time we've been saying, no, it's not. So now, with the information that he has, he now no longer believes that it is self-induced. So he finally dropped the video that he has been talking about for a few weeks now. He dropped it yesterday. So we're going to watch that together. There's been new information that has come up due to witnesses and due to another attorney. And we haven't heard from the FBI yet. However, people are talking to Robbie Harvey. So let's get into, I think we're like a part 12 as of right now. But let's get into Mica Miller's Final Hours YouTube video from Robbie Harvey.
Robinson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
I'm about to kill myself.
Now, since there is music at the very beginning of this, I will need to pause here and there just for copyright purposes.
And I just want my family to know where to find me.
I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And yeah, it was self-induced.
I need to know the paper trail. Who's in charge? We got a lot of assets, a lot of money to guard. Because it's not our money, it's God's money.
You can kiss your bride.
Keep thee only unto her so long as you both shall live.
And he was texting me at this point saying, I'll be at your house at 12:55. I'm armed and ready.
Please stop, Mica, stop!
I'm so depressed. I want to die. I'm battling suicidal thoughts. I have unforgiveness, hatred, demons coming out of me.
She got the weapon for self-protection. She told me days beforehand.
A lot of people, hey sir, a lot of people want to know if you murdered your wife.
You know, I looked at her phone and I counted over the past 2 years, 18 people who had texted her and said,
That's so sad. Again, needing to pause because of copyright, but in the pausing, it's very sad seeing her face super joyful for the church's social media website, whatever they're recording, and then just to hear her. But I still don't know if that 911 call is her or not. We haven't been convinced at all. Like, from literally part 1 that I've put this out there, like, we're like, no. And as soon as we heard the 911 call, we were like, could it be? We don't know. Nothing of this case makes sense.
if you want to talk about your husband, you can talk to me and say anything and I'll keep it confidential.
They are crap. They're right behind me.
When you're the bride of Christ and he sees his bride going through abuse and hurt, what do you think he thinks about that?
One day I'm going to preach about getting rich, strong, healthy, and finding a hot wife that loves Jesus. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry. She just fell in love. That was her heart.
Walk away.
I'll show you the pictures.
Do you want to go to jail?
We'll be on Facebook in a few hours.
Alrighty, you'll be in jail in a few hours.
I hate how he walks. I loathe how he walks.
So I texted him and he pretty much immediately just started.
I don't think we talked about this girl. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, Mica and him were still married. They were married at this time. And, well, like, I don't think, let's see. No, because it was before her death. and he went into a restaurant, and she was the waitress, and he left his number on the receipt, and she started texting him, and then I think she knew who he was, or she knew like right after, and then completely like, these are our messages. But yeah, as soon as he started texting her, it was like send nudes essentially. But with or without Mica, still a pastor.
For news.
One thing I have great peace about between me, God, and my wife is that I was the best husband I could possibly be, and if I were to do it over again, I don't think I could have done any better.
So you believe that moments before Mica died, John Paul Miller was tracking her?
Yeah, and honestly, kind of sent a shiver down my spine.
When I get into this and I start to look at what the scriptures say. 11:38 in the morning. Mica Miller leaves her apartment and heads for work. And according to multiple people who spoke to Mica hours before her death, they say yes, she was stressed about her pending divorce from Pastor John Paul Miller. But they also say she was in good spirits. And we even know the podcast that Mica was listening to right before her death. It was a podcast encouraging her that it was going to be okay to leave her husband, that it was going to be okay to begin her new life. Because Mica, who loved the Lord, truly believed that divorce was wrong, according to the Bible.
I wrote a book on this with these two words as the title. And the two words are necessary endings.
She was really struggling with the decision to serve her pastor husband with divorce papers and a restraining order request just days before her death. But that wasn't the only decision that she was struggling with. She struggled with turning in the one place that she loved with all of her heart. She turned her church into the IRS. This caused a lot of stress and turmoil in her life and within her relationship with a crumbling marriage between her and John Paul Miller.
Please stop, Mica, stop! Stop! I don't have your purse.
And she tried her best to solve this peacefully. But it seems Mica's mind was made up. She had decided to move on, and according to friends and family, she was becoming her old self once again. But on April 27th, 2024, after leaving for work, something happened. And Mica didn't show up. And she showed up at Dick's pawn shop to purchase a firearm. And according to friends and family, she had been talking about it for several days to protect herself because she feared for her life. But the police have a different story. They say this is where she purchased the weapon and this is when she decided to take her own life. From there, she drove to a North Carolina state park where she supposedly pulled the trigger herself. But it's the route that she took to get there that bring a lot more questions than answers. Now, we all know the story by now. She stopped by a gas station, purchased a few things along with some gas, and then headed to Lumber River State Park where her life ended. But now there's new information that has forced me to go back and look at every detail regarding that day. For example, many of you believe that Mica was being tracked that day, being followed. And according to Charlotte Korn, Mica's best friend, she had a conversation with John Paul just hours after Mica's death. And she believes John Paul admitted that he was indeed tracking Mica that day. So you believe that moments before Mica died, John Paul Miller was tracking her?
Yep. And honestly, kind of sent a shiver down my spine.
But there's a couple more things that many have not caught on to. For example, take a look at this truck pulling into the parking lot and immediately backing out. Pretty odd, considering the truck didn't do a U-turn. It continued down the route that it was already on. A few minutes later, Mica walks out of Dick's pawn shop. But instead of going straight to the state park, Mica went the opposite direction and stopped at a random gas station 40 minutes out of the way. According to multiple people who live in Myrtle Beach, they say that this route makes no sense if she was heading to the state park. And take a look at the gas station itself. It's not exactly a beacon of cleanliness. Friends and family of Mica say she would never stop at a gas station like this, unless she had a reason. And when the surveillance footage was released, thousands around the world scoured through it, looking for that infamous blue truck that John Paul Miller is known to drive. But on this day, that truck was nowhere near Mica Miller. It was far south of Myrtle Beach, hours away from where Mica was. But what if we were looking for the wrong vehicle? Remember this photo? Just 4 days after Mica passed away, John Paul Miller was seen in a restaurant parking lot with Susie Skinner. This is nothing new. We've all known this. But we haven't known what happened immediately afterwards. Until now.
You were the one who took the picture of John Paul and Susie in the restaurant parking lot just days after Mica's death.
That's correct.
This is Angela Clark, and her husband are very familiar with John Paul Miller. So familiar, they would consider themselves good friends for many, many years.
We walked back through the mall and exited up near where the restaurant was. And as we were walking toward our car, because the mall was closed, there weren't many cars there. I would say maybe 5, 6 cars in the area that we were parked. And as we walked toward the car, I looked up and there was a car with a Solid Rock sticker on the back of it. And I remember clearly thinking, God, what are you trying to say right now? I just need a break from this right now. You know, my heart was hurting. And as I looked up, I saw the profile of a man and realized very quickly that it was John Paul. I did not know the woman that was with him, but it was clear that there was a very serious conversation going on. They were standing very closely together. It was disturbing to me. I had been told about Susie by Mica. I do not know Susie. I did not know what she looked like. I didn't know anything about her. But my husband just kind of squeezed my hand and said, you know, let's just get in the car. As we were backing out, I told my husband to stop for a second, and I just snapped the picture really quickly, more out of curiosity whether this was the woman that Mica had shared with me she felt like John Paul was having an affair with. And I sent it to someone who would know, and to find out if that was who it was, because it was clear, one man, one woman, kind of an intimate looking setting in a parking lot, very serious conversation. To me, as her friend, it went all over me. I was very upset. As we backed out, he looked up right when I snapped the picture. I don't know that he knew it was us. He would have known us. I mean, we were very much in their lives. We did life with them when we were at the church. So we traveled together. We had dinner together. We did things together. So he would have known us. But as we backed out, John Paul kind of ran between the cars closer toward our car, kind of threw his hands up like he was disgusted.
After the photo was taken, John Paul Miller, who drove separately from Susie that night, jumped into his truck, and he began to follow Angela and her husband.
And as we pulled out, the truck ran up on our bumper. We made the left. The truck made the left. He followed us around that frontage road, following us very closely on our bumper. Now, you have to realize this is a completely empty parking lot. And, you know, there's part of me, I know that my friend has been shot in the head. I don't know the details of her death at this point. I do know the stories that I was being told by her. And my husband's ex-police. He's not scared of John Paul. I mean, he knows how to handle himself in every situation. He's pretty good at it. And he was pretty angry, you know, that he was following us like that. And I mean, let's face it, emotions were raw. We were raw. You know what I mean? Micah had come back into our lives, you know, within that last month, and we had not seen her or been around her other than just cordially social, you know, just in public settings, hugged her neck, you know, that kind of thing. And we had really connected. She was going to church with us. She was Micah was doing well. So I was really in a bad place with her death. I just, knowing the stories that she had been telling me and how rough things had been for her, I just didn't want a confrontation with John Paul.
But here's the interesting part of it all. John Paul Miller wasn't driving the blue Ford F-150 that we've all...
I remember, I know it's been like a minute until pausing. You'll have to forgive me. I'm recording this. It is now just 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'm just trying to soak in this information so I can rebuttal and have points to make, or just, you know, kind of talk about it. But it is also 6 in the morning and I already recorded a video before this, so I'm a little tired. I remember when those videos came out of her driving to Lumber State Park and then the gas station and stuff like that. There were so many creators. There were so many, well, I don't want to say investigators, but so many creators who were like dissecting every single vehicle that came into that parking lot and kind of like compared it to the vehicles like John Paul has, Susie has, and a few other people, I do believe, but we haven't ever heard of him just completely driving a new vehicle, a new truck rather. But what we had previously discussed was that there was no actual proof that he was where he said he was. He had said, like, yeah, I have proof I was with a lot of people, but those people haven't been spoken to. Well, as far as we know, they haven't been spoken to. They haven't been able to prove that he was actually there because the windows are tinted. So the vehicle is not there, but you don't know where John Paul is. He keeps saying that, like, no, I have an alibi. I was in South Carolina. I wasn't in North Carolina. But it's like, if you actually weren't, like, prove yourself. Like, there's zero proof that he wasn't there.
Come to know, he was driving a dark, charcoal F-150.
So everyone's been focused on the blue truck, even Robinson County Sheriff's Department. But you were really the first one to come to me and say he didn't drive a blue truck. He drove this dark gray Ford F-150. And we've all seen the surveillance footage, and there is a dark Ford F-150 circling the gas station parking lot multiple times. And though we don't know if that's the truck that John Paul owns, but what do you think? Do you think that could be the truck?
I've definitely had that feeling. I had a very strong feeling about that from the beginning. I brought it to several people. Everybody kind of dismissed it. Everybody was talking about a blue truck. I wasn't even aware. Like I said, John Paul wasn't really in our life. We had seen him before Mica reconnected with me. We saw him at Barnes & Noble at Market Common. He was definitely driving the silver truck that day. We all went to the parking lot at the same time. He got in the truck in front of us and drove off. And then, of course, the incident in the mall parking lot, he was in that dark truck as well. And someone said to me, no, he's got a blue truck. And I'm like, I don't know if he's got a blue truck or not. He was definitely driving a dark gray truck both times that we've seen him.
And one of the reasons Angela was dismissed about this theory for so long is because no such truck exists under the registration for John Paul or Solid Rock.
He forced me to be his friend. Forced me to be his best man.
Introducing Mark Kaufman, best buddies with John Paul Miller and at the time co-owner of Crocodile Rocks, a local bar in Myrtle Beach. That's right, a pastor, co-owner of a bar. And guess whose name? This truck is registered under. That's right, Mark Kaufman's. Once finding out about the truck, I reached out to multiple current and former members of Solid Rock Church. They all confirmed that John Paul did indeed drive a dark-colored Ford F-150. And some say that in certain settings, the truck could be considered black, depending on what time of day it is. And to make this even more interesting, there's this. Just weeks after Mica died, and not long after he was seen driving the truck following Angela and her husband, the truck was sold, and it hasn't been seen since. Do we know that this is the same truck in the surveillance footage? No, we do not. But the point of this is, neither does Robinson County Sheriff's Department, who I assume probably have no clue about this truck until watching this video. And that's the point. From the gas station, Mica heads toward Lumber River State Park, a 40-minute drive. And according to police, Mica Googles a state park, gets directions, and when she arrives, she wades through knee to waist-high water in a restricted part of the park, and then takes her own life. But before doing so, Mica calls 911. Listen.
Robinson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
In National Park.
What's the phone number you're calling me from?
843-655-5242.
Where's the park located at?
In Bear Bluff.
Let's see.
I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find my phone is on. I just did my my location.
Okay, I'm showing, hold on one second. I don't think you are in Robinson County. Are you at the Lumber River State Park?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to self, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
That's the part that doesn't make sense when she's saying she wants her family to find her, but she like treaded through knee-high water with potential. I mean, I don't think a lot of gators are there. Maybe not. I don't think. But potential like animals in a place in Lumber State Park that not a lot of people go, and it's a restricted area. Why would you haul ass in a swampy swamp to do that?
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
In the call, Mica claims that she doesn't know where she's at. But how is this possible? According to the police's own evidence, she Googled where she was going, and it clearly states where she's going. Along with that, there's a massive sign at the entrance of the park letting her know where she is. And not only that, according to John Paul Miller himself, yes, according to John Paul Miller, Mica had plans to take her life in this very park.
So far, the four people she spent the most time with every week, no one's interviewed or talked to those four people. And one of those people that I talked to told me that she told her 2 years ago, if I ever commit suicide, I'm going to go to this place in Lumberton, the state park or something like that.
Directions on her phone, a massive sign at the entrance of the park, and John Paul claiming she had plans to go to this very park and take her life. So now we have to question, is the 911 call fake? AI has been discussed a lot in this case, and I have to be honest, I've never considered the 911 call fake until I got my own fake phone call of someone accusing me of something that I never did.
So the last video I said, hey, I'm going to do a video on this particular phone call that Robbie Harvey received. However, that is before I knew that he was also going to add it into this video. So that's why I didn't do that that video. But he received a call from this woman who was saying that he had had inappropriate relationships with her daughter. And it was Robbie Harvey and his wife on the phone and was like, what are you talking about? Yes, I'm Robbie Harvey, because she was asking. She was like, yeah, that's me, but I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who you're talking about. But even before that, he received another call from a teenage girl saying, hey, I'm at a hotel. Is this Robbie Harvey? I'm being like taken against my will. Like I have to stay in this room and I'm with somebody else. And then Robbie Harvey said that he heard JP Miller in the background. So JP sent this woman to try and make a mockery of Robbie Harvey, but it's all backfiring. So at first he was thinking like, oh, this is real. If this is real, like we need to go to the FBI like right now. But this woman had said, which made me think that it was fake, and obviously now that he thinks it's fake, is that she was kind of like bad-mouthing Mica, which was weird. And then 2, she also said, I have over 300 things of evidence against like John Paul Miller. And it's interesting because a few months ago, John Paul Miller was saying, I have over 300 things of proof that Mica Miller wanted to off herself. And so he received this call and then he recorded the whole entire thing. And I think that's what we're going to get into now.
Take a listen.
If he doesn't stop texting my daughter about, he's going to jail.
Well, who is your daughter?
My daughter's 17. She's a minor. So that is none of your business.
Well, do you have the
proof? If he doesn't stop, he's going to jail. This is the phone number it's coming from. Is this Robbie Harvey that's on YouTube? About Mica Miller every day of my life? Yes, it is. If he doesn't stop, I'm posting it everywhere, and he's going to jail.
It's of my opinion that Mica's 911 call is fake. The question is whether it's AI or an impersonator, like the phone call that I got. And according to everyone I've spoken with, they say it sounds like Mica, but all of them say it's not her. And they may have a point. Just a few days ago, multiple 911 calls were released, and Mica is in almost all of them. Listen to her cadence. Listen to her tone. Listen to how she speaks. It's clearly very different than the 911 call made on April 27th.
Yeah, there's a laptop there that's got naked pictures of me on it, and there's some people staying at my house that I didn't invite into my house, and I'm out of town, so I was just hoping there would be a wellness check and make sure there's no cars parked at my house that I don't recognize the license plate of, or if you just take down those license plate numbers for me to review later, just to do a wellness check.
Are you able to trace the location on my phone.
You don't know where you're at?
A national park.
We're legally separated. We both have lawyers and we're pursuing divorce.
Copy.
And he took possession of my items while being hospitalized.
I will put this in here for an officer. I'm not sure what they'll do.
And it's my phone, my laptop, and my car. And my phone and laptop have naked pictures of me on them.
843-655-5242. I have my location on, I think, on my phone.
Where he's put his hands on me, and he's on an antipsychotic medicine that he's misusing. And I even got off the phone with the pharmacy. He didn't pick up his latest prescription, which he should have on January 3rd. And I believe at this point, based on the people that he's come in contact with, some of them reported to me that based on how he was talking, they feared he had killed and buried me somewhere.
I'm about to self, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
At 1:38 p.m., Mica Miller leaves the gas station, and she does something really interesting. She circles the gas station. From there, she heads to Lumber River State Park, and at 2:54 p.m., she calls 911, and then her life has ended. At 3:31 p.m., police arrive. Then at 4:23 p.m., Mica's body is found with markings on her hand, and it looks like someone has grabbed her forearm. So let's say that Mica's 911 call is fake. That means from the moment she left the gas station at 1:38 p.m. to the moment when her body was found at 4:23 p.m., Mica wasn't heard or seen for multiple hours. We've already discussed that the route she took was way out of the way from Dick's pawn shop. Now take a look at the route from the gas station to the state park. And look what's right in the middle. The property of Tom Winslow.
AI. Who would have thought that in a legal scenario 20 years ago when I started practicing that AI would be the next lawyer? Out in Oklahoma, they just tried a case regarding a speeding ticket using AI, speaking to the defendant to kind of tell them what to say in terms of research. So it's going to become more and more prevalent as we move forward in our legal world.
Tom Winslow is the attorney for John Paul Miller, and we have seen him a lot in recent weeks. But I do not believe that Tom is involved with Mica's death. Matter of fact, I don't know if Tom is involved at all, other than simply trying to help a friend. But according to multiple sources, John Paul Miller has access to Tom's property. And since Mica's death, several witnesses have seen him heading exactly that direction.
We've talked about this over and over and over about Tom Winslow. Now that Robbie Harvey is saying that he doesn't think that he is a part of it, man, I don't know. I wouldn't go that far yet. But this is not new information to us. We've looked at this since we watched Brit's video of Tom Winslow because of his how close his land is to Lumber State Park. Like, nothing about this makes sense. However, like, everything's connected.
The day that Mica died has always been about what makes more sense. Do we believe the pastor who's been accused of being with multiple children and has text messages saying that he has dated 14-year-old girls? Do we believe the man who's had an affair with prostitutes and posted nude photos of his wife? A man who went into a rage after finding out that his wife was with another man, moving on with her life, and then he allegedly slashed her tires multiple times. A man who claims he hired a PI to prevent his wife from purchasing a weapon, yet she did exactly just that.
So, I want to remind you, like A bunch of people have been reminding me lately that I'm God's bride first. And even an earthly spouse who's a good spouse, when they know that their bride is being hurt, just imagine what an earthly spouse does. What do you think your heavenly spouse does?
I mean, I'm in a winter season like you would not even imagine. I don't even want to be here today, to be honest with you.
We got a lot of assets, a lot of money to guard. Because it's not our money, it's God's money.
You know, a lot of people, hey, sir. A lot of people want to know if you murdered your wife.
Keep me only unto her so long as you both shall live.
A man who insulted his wife on a regular basis from the pulpit. A man who has offered multiple people $10,000 to convince Mica to come back. Oh, yes, I know. A man who spent church funds to find out about a woman's rape. A man who hit a woman not once but twice with his vehicle. A man who claims that he's trying to protect his wife from these mental episodes, but in 2022, when she was hospitalized, he says an ice bath triggered her mental collapse. He sent this text message to friends saying that doctors believe a day at the spa with a friend led to this hospitalization. But yet last year, allowed Mica to purchase an ice bath that sat in their very home. And when
remember, in the, was it the eulogy? I'm not sure, but the paragraphs of Mica's funeral, it was on the paper. What is that called? Am I right? Is that where everybody was like, yeah, what he said, what he wrote was a little weird, because at the bottom it was like talking about all of the things that he's given her, and he also mentions ice bath, which is very strange.
Decided to leave, he sold her ice bath, the one that she was paying for with her own money.
Are you trying to ask me if I think somebody murdered her?
So I texted him, and he pretty much immediately just started begging for news.
The pastor who turned down tens of thousands of dollars to help children in Africa because it wouldn't go through Charles Randall. The same Charles Randall that helped trick Mica into the hospital in February 2024. Speaking of that hospitalization, I almost forgot. Just one more thing. Back in February of 2024, hours within Mica being admitted into the hospital, John Paul Miller jumped on the phone. He began calling family law attorneys, looking for a divorce attorney. And he called this lady. This is Melissa, a paralegal at a local Myrtle Beach family law firm. Melissa, when someone calls you, what's the process when they're looking for an attorney?
When we take a call, I screen them to determine if it's a case that we can take at this time. And that can be based on just how many contested cases we currently have versus the time we could devote to someone's case. Also, maybe the fact patterns on their case. So there's various questions that we ask to try to get not just basic information, but a little more detail to determine if it's something that we would be able to take on.
According to you, when John Paul Miller called, you said that there's a lot of red flags in the conversation you had with him.
Yes, there were a lot of red flags. Yes. He used the words that he had forced her into the mental hospital, and that as of that day, she was in the mental hospital, and the call was on February 7th. He went on to say she'd been in and out of the mental hospital 5 to 6 times. He actually used the words, I've tricked her into getting help, and she's been in and out of the mental hospital 5 to 6 times.
Literally things that we have felt and that we have almost fully known about JP Miller, about this investigation. We were like, no, like he tricked her to go. But where's the proof of that? But now, I'm telling you, dude, like, the truth will always come out. It's only a matter of time. The truth always comes out.
One of the things that stuck out to me in the call is that he continuously kept reiterating that he was a pastor. And it was like, okay, to say that the first time.
I just realized that the closed caption has been on the whole entire time. I thought that was Robbie Harvey's video, but that was mine. So I apologize if that's been annoying. It is what it is.
That's fine. You know, you're just giving me your background. But when he continued to say it throughout the entire call, especially as he was talking about her mental health and the reasons that he wanted a divorce, to me, it was a red flag, almost like you weren't trying to just tell me who you were, but rather make me believe that you were a good person or maybe build some type of character. So one of the questions he did keep asking me in the call was, is my attorney a shark? Was his exact words that he used. And so I answered it politically correct. I said, well, she's very passionate about her clients. She will work hard for you. If she represents you, you know, she will fight with passion, like it's her own case. That wasn't a good enough answer for him. He kept saying, well, I really need a shark. And towards the end of the call, one of the statements that really stuck out to me as a red flag is he used the words, I need someone who can destroy her, was exactly what he said to me. I need to destroy her.
And I want to be clear. You, at this time, had no clue who John Paul Miller was, had no clue who Mica was.
No, I'd never met either of them, never heard of either of them.
And according to you, John Paul Miller told you he wanted an attorney who would destroy his wife.
Yes, he made that statement. He made the statement about wanting a shark several times. And the very last statement he made on the topic was, I need someone who can destroy her.
John Paul Miller saw Mica as a threat. She knew too much. Mica had the keys to bring down the empire. And she began that process. And he knew that she was serious when he was served with divorce papers and a protection order request days before she died. So after everything that I have shown you today, what makes more sense about that day? Suicide or murder?
Really, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger. I'm a threat. I'm a gamble with your life, cause you know that it's okay. It's okay. You know why?
Okay, I did watch this yesterday, and while I was working, and this song came on, and I was like, because I wasn't looking at my phone because I was cleaning something, and I was like, oh, it's like a commercial, or went to another video, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm a threat. And then I looked and I was like, oh shit, no, like that's still the same video.
Foot is on your neck. Take my word for it. It's a promise and a threat. Really, y'all don't know this, y'all in danger.
John Paul Miller nor anyone mentioned in this video have been charged with any crime. Oh, he has to say that, I guess.
I'm a threat. I'm a gamble with your life, cause you know that it's a bet. It's a bet. No, I ain't letting up my.
I mean, pretty great song to put in there. I'm a threat. That's a little. It's a little trolly, and I'm here for a good troll. Anyway, y'all let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Like I said, I've been still I don't want to say deep diving, but I've been keeping up with this case. Obviously, the videos coming out are going to be, unless there's like a breaking story, but I'm going to continue to talk about Mica Miller until, the case is closed. Well, maybe not even, because whatever, until I decide to, stop. But since there's just a little bit of information coming out here and there, obviously, the videos aren't going to be as frequent as a few months ago, which is fine. I'm still going to cover it. But I am still watching videos behind the scenes, really gathering up information and trying to be as educated in this so I can give it back to y'all. But yeah, he has been saying the last few weeks that he was going to drop this video because he's done the interviews, he's been investigating himself, and now he no longer has communication with JP Miller because JP Miller has been trying to destroy Robbie Harvey because he keeps talking about Mica. And so in that call, that woman who was saying like, he touched my, or is texting my 17-year-old daughter, whatever, beforehand when she had first called was like, I hear that you keep talking about Mica Miller and how she offed herself, and it's just so annoying how she was just really saying it in a nasty way and saying that she definitely killed herself, you know, just like adding that in there. And it's like, well, that was a weird thing to say. So now it's like, oh, I think I forgot to mention this before, but she also said that she had the information, like she had the proof that JP Miller was, you know, not a good guy. And then so Robbie was like, okay, I know I have an in with the FBI I've been speaking to, so if you could email me all of these things, here's my email me and I will send it directly to them. And never heard from again. So that's what kind of gave him the, oh, well, this is fake then. But in that call, she was just bad-mouthing Mica. She was saying, well, of course she did it herself. She was miserable, you know, stuff like that, which is super strange. So anyway, that will be the video on Mica, the Mica Miller investigation today. When new things come out, I will just continue to keep y'all updated on things. Let me know what your comments, what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If you find out anything before I do, please let me know, and so I can cover it for everybody else. Okay, I appreciate y'all so very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.